screen talking to you. I have some friends joining me today. So welcome everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We will give another minute or so for everybody to log in, get settled here, and we will start our webinar with our YSEALI Seeds Grantees from 2020. I will introduce everybody in just a moment. So in the meantime, I'll share my slides. So hi everybody, welcome. So if you see the chat function on the bottom of your screen, please let us know where you're joining us from. Say hello to each other. We always love to hear where you're joining from. And this is just a good way for us also to check if the chat function works. Another reminder is we do have a Q&A button next to the chat button as well. So the Q&A button we will use specifically to ask questions to our panelists today, to our invited guests. I would kindly ask you to submit your questions via Q&A button versus chat, just because we don't want to lose your question in the chat if there is a lot of things coming in the chat, okay? We will use chat to say hello, to test our sound, to let us know if there are any specific connection issues, but the Q&A is for the questions. So welcome, thanks for joining. Hi from Indonesia, hi from the Philippines, and from Vietnam and Laos. Excellent, we do have all of these countries represented, which is interesting. Thanks for joining. We are excited to have you. All right, in just a moment. For those of you who just joined us, please say hello to us in the chat. Let us know where you're joining from. We are recording this webinar, so you will be able to rewatch it if there are any connection issues. And again, a kind reminder that there is a Q&A button where you can submit all of your questions to our guests today. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen in just a moment to help us get started. All right, everyone. So yes, welcome, welcome, thank you. Hello to everybody who's saying hello to us in the chat. It's lovely to hear kind of virtually and see, kind of imaginary see everybody joining us. So let us get settled. Hi from Cambodia, hi from Myanmar. Excellent, wonderful, thank you for joining us. All right, great. Well, let's get started, and then whoever is joining us later, welcome as well. So today, as I mentioned, is the third webinar in our series. Just one more webinar left before we wrap this up, but this is a wonderful opportunity for us to actually talk to YSEALI Seeds grantees who were just like you probably a year ago, wondering, should I apply for YSEALI Seeds or not, or working on their proposal and anticipating what this all might mean. And today they are sitting right here ready to share their wisdom, share some tips and advice about their journey applying for YSEALI Seeds for the future and running their projects. But before we start, just wanted to remind everybody some key dates and information you see on your screen right now. If you've missed the first webinar where we talked about how to create a successful YSEALI Seeds application, you can rewatch it on Cultural Vistas YouTube channel, and the link is provided, as well as the link is also on the YSEALISeeds.org, our website. Same for the second webinar. Today's third and the last one will be specifically for your last minute questions. We will host it on November 4th, same day, same time. And then don't forget that the application deadline is November 8th for you to submit your YSEALI Seeds proposal. Not that many applications submitted yet, so I wonder, you know, if everybody just working really hard or nobody wants to be selected, I don't know. So I want you to hurry up and really work on your applications and submit it, so you have a good chance of being selected this year. All right, so, and then I'm not going to talk too much today because I want other people to talk, the guests who are joining me. I showed this photo in the beginning of the webinar series, introducing you all to the cohort of YSEALI Seeds 2020. These are the faces of young leaders who were selected for YSEALI Seeds for the future with their projects, and they are running those projects right now, and they're wrapping up by now as well. We met in Hanoi, Vietnam for our two-day kickoff workshop, which was a wonderful time for us to network and learn different things and meet each other. And that was the time when I met these three lovely leaders that you see here. that I will introduce each, and you will actually be able to look up their projects online as well if you want to get more information and learn a little bit better. So today we have Jim from Laos, who is a project leader for Project Xiang Miang project. Jim will probably say or pronounce it better than I do. So we'll let him introduce himself and introduce the project in just a moment. We also have Tu from Project Giga from Vietnam. Hi, Tu. So you can wave, everybody. Great. And then we have Karen from Indonesia, who's representing Project Fonikasi. Karen will be able to also pronounce it properly, just so everybody know how we say it. Wonderful to have all of the beautiful cultures, countries, languages represented, and we're extremely proud to have you all joining today. So without any further ado, let me stop sharing slides, and then we will kick this off with you guys just taking time, introducing yourself a little more than what I just did, and tell us about your project. Tell us who you are, how did you come up with this project overall.
Okay, probably let me start first. So welcome everyone. Welcome all of the YSEALI Seeds potential grantees for next year. So my name is Jim. I'm a co-founder of Xiang Miang, and I'm from Laos. It's such an honor to represent the YSEALI Seeds to 2020 and also share some of the experience with you guys. So basically, I'm electrical engineering graduate, but now I'm the project leader of the Xiang Miang project from Laos. And so basically, we would like to transform how students interact with technology, especially from changing from the consumption of technology into the making of their own technology. So we try to teach them throughout the 3 months project, where we have the workshop, boot camp, and the competition, where we provide a lot of learning skills and activities on technology and on entrepreneurship, and we would like to prepare them to be the future entrepreneur. So we also have a small seed funding at the end, and yeah, that's the basic of my project. And please reach out if you guys have any question. Yeah, we'd like to help. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Jim. Kieran, how about you? Tell us a little more about yourself, and about the project. So there is a connection between how did you get interested in running the project you're running?
Yes. Oh, so hi everyone. My name is Karen. I'm from Indonesia. So I'm an early childhood teacher or educators, and our team is doing the Phonic ASIC project. Phonic ASIC is like a program for early years like learners, like children, to learn how to read, but this is in Bahasa Indonesia. So we are promoting literacy, especially in rural areas in Indonesia, by providing Bahasa Indonesia reading program that we are trying to make it as fun as possible, as comprehensive as possible, so that it will be fun for the young learners, and also it can cater suitable for all learners. So we are making songs, stories, storybooks, and all small things that they can touch to learn letters and to learn how to read.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Karen. And Tu.
Okay, xin chào mọi người. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tu from Vietnam, and currently I'm the co-founder of WeGrow Edu, a sex education startup. Yeah, we work on promoting gender equality and freedom of choice for everyone, especially youth. My project at the YSEALI Seeds program is Vietnam Incubator for Gender Advocates, or you can call it VIGA. Yeah, so VIGA is like a hub, where high school students are connected and are train as well as receive mentoring and funding and support to like lead the gender equality movement in Vietnam. We really trust the potential of high school students, and we believe that they are the change agents for a better future. So we invest our resources in high school students so that they can lead the gender movement and yeah, make a better community.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I do have some questions for you to start our discussion, but I would like to encourage our guests today to also type in your questions for our speakers in the Q&A. So please keep them coming. You can ask any questions from, how did you put together your proposal, to what was the hardest part of the application, to anything at all that they could provide some guidance and support for you as you're thinking about crafting your application. So please bring your questions, but just to continue our lovely discussion here. So tell us, what role do you have in your team? I know that, I mentioned that some of you are project leaders, right? So as everybody know, there are 3 key team members: project leader, project treasurer, project secretary. So tell us, what role do you have in your team, and how did you divide roles in your team? Who is your secretary? Who is your treasurer? How did you divide responsibility? How did you even think about dividing it all when you applied? Where did you bring people from? How did you collect your team? So anybody who wants to go first.
Okay, I can go first. So in Phonic ASIC, I'm the project leader. So actually this project is not just, like come up suddenly just for YSEALI. I've been thinking for this project since like actually 7 years. So for the past like 2 years, I've been, like talking with one of my friend and also with my family about doing this kind of project. So when I'm applying for YSEALI Seeds, so those are the people that I like invited first. Like, so the one friend that I keep on, like communicating about this project is my like the secretary in the Phonic ASIC program. And actually I invited my sister, who is, majoring in management, as the treasurer because I was thinking, okay, 2 educators plus 1, management person, maybe she can handle, like money better. But after we got selected, then I talked to some other friends that they are also educators about this program, and they are willing to help us, like to develop the program. So the way I divide the work is actually by what are the final programs or final products that we want to have. So because we are going to have training for educators, and we have for that training we need to have products as well. So we divide the team for working on the product. So there's like a person who's doing the music, like we are doing like the lyrics, and there are 2 other people that working on the storybook. So that's how we divide. I think it's just also about not only the ability, but also are they available to do this kind of programs and project, because it's something that you need to like enjoy to do it as well.
So in my experience, it is quite similar to Karen because actually I got my team members from We Grow Edu, which is my startup. So we are like a team from the beginning, and then we worked on with Vega as well. So I was lucky to have a co-founder of a fellow who is like majoring in accounting and auditing. So she's like the treasurer of the project. And the other one who is very great at operations and management. So she's like the secretary of the program, and I'm like the supervisor in general. And I look for the content and the like academic development aspect of Vega. Yeah, so it was quite something that we planned even before Vega and YSEALI Seeds as well. But yeah, it was quite a good coordination when you can like utilize the resources and the capabilities of like people around you to yeah, make a joint effort.
Oh, that's great too. Actually, in my case, it's quite different because we have a changing of co-founders multiple times, and then so at first we start up with my friends who graduate from the same uni, and so basically we have my friend Bang is he's treasurer, project treasurer, and my friend D who is project secretary. But then we found out that and both of some of them, they are very busy doing their work, so we actually pivot and we change our project co-founder. But by doing that, it's still okay because we still need to have someone who is very passionate and very committed to the project as we do. For example, I'm a project leader. I'm looking at the overall management of the team, and project secretary, you have looking at the project report. But sometimes when he is busy, most of the time, I'm also have to do it. So yeah, and we help each other. Beside my main teams, we also have 43 volunteers that are helping us, and we divide it into so many groups. So we have media group, which responsible for video editing and graphic design for our social media advertisement, and we also have communication to communicate with other partners, and we also have project organizer teams. So during the events, we have the organizers who run the event. So basically, we have multiple teams in our group, and most of them are very passionate and are very young and very talented. And we are very grateful to have them. And I think you guys can also look around and see what are the potential that you can use from your friends and from your volunteers as well. Yeah, thank you.
That's excellent points, everybody. Just want to add that this is a great illustration to how different teams could be. But one thing I find in common is that typically if you are the project leader, you are responsible for everything. So like Jim said, sometimes something might not work out for other team members and you have changes in your team, but you as a project leader is the one who is keep moving on, keep pushing the project forward, which is a great thing that I wanted to stress and highlight here as well. And also the fact that you have 3 core team members that you apply with for YSEALI Seeds, but then you can have an unlimited amount of support team like volunteers or other people that you know in your network that can also support you. You don't need to put them on your application necessarily, but it does not hurt to mention them in your proposal if you have some established relationship with some organizations, or that you have a great team of designers that you will be collaborating with. It always it can strengthen your application to show that you are established in your community and you have connections with so many different people who will support you. Because what it means for the committee that will be reviewing the proposal is that, oh, this team has such a great support. It means that it is more likely that they will be successful in completing their project because they have so much support. So it's just like a good tip, good advice for everybody. I do see quite a bit questions coming in. Wonderful, please bring them on. So I want to address one of the questions that came in first. So Karen, I think you volunteered to answer that one. So why don't you read the question and then feel free to give your answer too.
So someone asked how important to balance social and business issues in your project so it can be sustained. So I think first of all, because we are applying for, we did apply for YSEALI Seeds. One thing that we need to keep in mind is during the period of like YSEALI Seeds, it's all like social. We are developing the program. YSEALI give us the the money for us to run it, to do the pilot project, and so during the YSEALI Seeds period, that's everything that we give. It should be free, free of charge for people. But then this is, I think, one of the good thing what YSEALI challenge us to make this program sustainable. So after the period of YSEALI Seeds, for example, for us, after 2020 is done, so 2021 we are challenged to how to make this sustainable. One of the thing is, of course, to make revenue. So if you ask how to balance it, I think it depends on like what is your program, like I mean how what are the needs that you need to like you want to like answer or to help. So for example, for phonic ASIC, so our plan is for 2021 we will, because it's like a reading program, so we will like offer it to schools if they are willing to use our programs, and they need to pay for that because we will train the teachers, we will give the materials, the books and songs, something like that. But also we know that not all schools that wants to implement this have the money to pay. So um, the money that we get from schools that can pay, then the profit can be to pay the salary of the one working in the team, and also to get some more materials, then share it to the school that cannot pay for it. So I think for the balance, you need to count as well how much do you need to run the program, how many people that you need to pay for the salary, something like that, and also how much profit will you get, and then you can decide how much. For example, oh, after 10 of the programs that being sold, then I will give maybe 2, something like that. So I hopefully that will answer the question.
That was a great question. So thank you, whoever sent it. And I do see a lot of these type of questions coming in to our email. So if you have a specific situation that you would like to discuss and you're not sure in terms of eligibility, please send us an email. Our email is YSEALI@culturalvistas.org, and my colleague Jill will put that email address in the chat as well. Just a reminder, if you have questions or unsure about anything in terms of program eligibility application, let us know. But Karen provided just a wonderful answer to that, to how to separate your social enterprise while you are running on the YSEALI Seeds funding versus how you plan then to sustain yourself after this funding is over, so you can keep on running your project with a great benefit for the community, but also so you can support yourselves. I don't know if you guys also have anything else to add to this. Feel free. Or if not, we can move on to the next. Go ahead, too.
Okay. I think that I share a lot with Karen because besides Vita, we are also running a social business, and in order to balance between the social and business aspect is really a challenge. But at the same time, we can think of like the funding from YSEALI Seeds as a chance to like test your programs or to like promote your branding. So it's quite a win-win situation in which you can promote your like chances of getting known and delivering your programs, your products or services to the public without like charging. So it's a very great opportunity for you actually to gain more people to know about your cause and your mission, so that you can continue with your goal, even though it is a non-profit or for-profit.
Do you want to take that question, the next question as well, too?
Yes. So I got a question from Joe's, I guess. How were you able to come up with the specific topic of your project? Yeah, I think it's actually a very insightful question, because when it comes to thinking about the topic of the project, it really needs time and effort and even like reflection for you to think about. So in my personal case, we worked on gender equality and sex education before. So we understood that there were a lot of stories around the target audience of our project, which are high school students. So like they are like growing and they have a lot of potential, but at the same time they are facing a lot of like gender stereotypes. For example, when they think about career orientation, most of them still think that doctor should be a man's job. So like they still refer to doctors as he or him, rather than like a gender neutral term. So it's very hard to like fix all the like the grassroots or the very like basic stereotypes But again, we see in the high school students the potential because they are the change agents. They are very active and they work a lot of nonprofit projects to impact and benefit the community. So we think that maybe we should empower the high school students so that they can run their own projects and initiatives in gender equality. Yeah, so that would be a very fantastic chance for them to spread it more easily towards their community of young and like you know high school students who are also experiencing the same situation. And also, I learned from the LGBT success in Vietnam. It's like in order for them to, in order for LGBT people to really get more recognition and like win their rights, they are the ones who start the change. And with high school students, with youth in general, it's the same story. So they should be the one who are empowered and supported to like lead the gender equality movement. So that's why we start to think about like the incubation idea of supporting them with resources, with training and mentoring, so that they can like lead this movement, lead the gender equality movement.
So it almost seems to me like all of you have had some background in the specific area that you're running your project in. So that's how you kind of came up with that, right? Maybe you have something to share about your teammates who did not have that specific background and they somehow decided that, okay, this topic sounds great. Anything that could help this person who is asking the question, how did you come up with a specific topic? Maybe Karen or Jim have like just a couple of words before we move on because we don't have as much time left.
Okay. Oh, Karen, you want? Oh, okay, that's right. All right, I would like to address this. I think likewise, like Tu and Karen, please look around and see what we are currently doing, and then find out what are the things that we can expand upon doing by adding this project, because we want to show the judges or show the YSEALI Seeds selection that we actually can do it, and we have done before like multiple times, or we are the best candidates to do so as well. So by picking up the topic, for example, I'm very passionate in technology, so that's why I keep adding like some technology projects that can elaborate or that can expand upon what I'm currently doing. Considering that the team members who don't have the specific background related to us, is that we can do like a small training session for them as well. But I think the most important thing is that they are very committed and very passionate in contributing and in be a part of this in impact towards the society. But in terms of the technical skills or in terms of the background, it shouldn't matter that much, because we can do a small training and we can do like small workshop for them as well. Like especially during this time, during the COVID, like last time, the grant it's quite flexible in the case of like we can pay for someone that can teach you the skills that we don't have as well. So this is something that you may want to consider if you lack of that skills. Yeah, that's it for me.
Maybe just to add a little bit, sometimes almost all the members in Phonic ASIC team is actually educators, but not all of them are at first familiar with what is phonics actually, and they haven't think about like making things like that. So what I did is actually explaining about what the idea is and what are the need that we want to help, so that they can somehow figure it out, and knowing that the person that you approach. So from my experience, when I explain that, they get the idea, oh okay, and then they are willing to help, things like that. So yeah.
Thanks, everyone. I will quickly address just a couple of questions here. Somebody asked, like, why we only have project leaders? Where is everybody else? So if you have any peace of mind to share on that. And then the similar question was, I believe, on how, like, who's in charge of reporting to YSEALI? Who's coordinating everything? You know, how did you kind of come up with that? So just to let you know, although we do say that there has to be 4 team members, project leader, secretary, and treasurer, that's because it's easier to delegate your responsibilities, but we don't come and tell you how exactly you need to run your project and how exactly you need to organize your team. Whatever works for you. So in some cases, project leader kind of does it all and kind of coordinates everybody else and just has occasional assistance from other team members. In some cases, it's really divided, and the secretary, let's say, submits monthly reports, the treasurer manages finances, and the project leader basically is a communicator who you know, communicates with us. And by the way, in this case, it's not YSEALI that you will be reporting to, it will be Cultural Vistas, so to us. So we manage the project on behalf of YSEALI. So, and that's why regular communication will be with your funder, and the funder in this case is Cultural Vistas. So basically it is, and sometimes I do have a secretary who is in communication with me instead of a project leader. This is great. So, but what I'm saying is you're fully empowered to decide for your team what works best. We just want you to not overexhaust yourself by being a project leader alone, doing everything alone. That's why we require that there has to be at least 2 more team members. I hope that makes sense. And then I'm just passing the microphone back to Karen. I think you wanted to take a question.
Yeah, there are 3 questions or maybe more after this about, like, you know, the pandemic issues. So I will just try to cover everything all together because I think it's similar. So it's about, you know, how to plan for next year and also how to adjust for this year as well. So first of all, yes, I think all of us, like this batch 2020, we didn't plan for like pandemic situation. So first, yes, we did change. I think lots of projects changed the face-to-face, for example, trainings or anything that face-to-face to online, most of the team. But I know there are some teams that can do, they can still do their face-to-face, just, you know, to see the condition in their country, in their areas, how, you know, everything is going on. So for Phonic ASIC, yes, we plan for face-to-face, and yeah, it won't work. So we changed that to online, so online training. So one of the question asked how should they plan for online or offline for the proposal. I think being hopeful is good, but also being, you know, like you need to think plan A and plan B. You know, like I think for planning the proposal, I think it's okay if you plan for on-site, you know, like on-site training, you know, in the budgeting, especially, you know, budget for everything. But also you need to also think about the plan B. How if it's not doable for on-site, then to move it online, that can cover the similar amount of money. For example, we actually plan to like spend quite a lot of money because we will travel to another island, and because we cannot do it now, we plan for on-site, online, I mean online. So we cannot just, you know, pay for Zoom with that big money. So that's why we plan for, you know, like Zoom and also web and some other things that can cater, you know, like the need, and also can spend like about the same amount of money that we propose at the beginning. So yeah, I think hopefully will answer 3 of the question. Thank you.
Excellent. And feel free to jump in, Jim, and too, if you have anything else to add to the pandemic. Just from me, I want to acknowledge that we do understand that it's a difficult time for you to apply and not knowing what the future holds. That's why it will be a good opportunity for you to be creative and innovative in proposing how you would manage your great innovative idea and how do you allocate your budget from the get-go. This is a luxury that the current teams did not have. they were completely caught by surprise with the pandemic, and they had to pivot and change things on the go. It was difficult for some, easier for others who already kind of had an online platforms. So, but for you right now, it's a great advantage, I would say, to kind of think ahead and anticipate, okay, how will my project survive, you know, regardless of what's happening around. So think about it as more of an advantage to help you plan in advance. Right, who's going next?
Yep. Okay, can I jump into next question? All right. So I got one question. So the question is how to communicate the expected target and success measurement in our proposal for the project. So there's two elements in our project proposal, which is target beneficiaries and metrics that can actually enhance how you measure the target. For the first thing, the project beneficiaries, I would recommend you guys to put some of the reachable reachable target that you'd like to have. It would be great if it would be great if it's a number. For example, for my project, I would like to teach 100 students from high school, from 11 high schools in Laos in Vientiane, and we'd like to reach 2,000 audience during the exhibition, or like something similar to that. You know, that we can see the result and easily observe. And how are you going to measure it? You know, you want to measure it with the survey, or you want to measure it with the number of views online, or you want to measure it with the number of applicants, or like, you know, just something that you can see, and you can report back that you actually reach that number, you know. So that's how you measure it. And the next question is quite long. This question is specifically to CMM projects where they are concerning about the sustainability of the project, because the project, let me sum up the question. So basically this project runs only for 3 days, and they would like to teach, like to train, I'm not sure, like trainers for 12 modules, and then the trainers will teach the students, will train the students again for 3 months. So basically the project has 3 months period, but then they only have 3 days of training the trainers. This is quite very similar to my project, but well, you can look at this like how. So the first thing, you want to train the trainers, right? And then after that, you want to look at what are the results of your outcome of training these trainers by looking at the success, how well they will train the students, and how well the students can, you know, can get the information from all your trainers. So for example, my project has 3 elements where we train the students first, and then we would like to see the result by having a competition. We like to see if the student can actually make things by themselves with what we gave them. But in terms of the beyond 1 year project, you can look at this case as the initial stage of beginning of something that it's further. You know, you can actually plan ahead for 1 or 2 years ahead, and you see that, for example, I have a connection with 11 schools right now. What can you do? You want to do beyond Vientiane or beyond the whole country or something like that. And to make it sustain, you can just, because this is the YSEALI Seeds and it's totally free for students, but some, like Karen did, like Karen said, you can say that next year we accept only 50 students, and the other 50 or the other 100 you have to pay to us, you know, in order to participate in this program. So basically you can, you know, it's quite flexible. You can expand beyond this project, and I think there's so many ideas that you can do that. So if that still not makes sense, you can just direct the message to me. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jim. I just want to again highlight for those who join maybe a little bit later, just something that I always highlight, that during your YSEALI Seeds project implementation and while you're receiving funding from YSEALI Seeds, you cannot charge money to the public. Basically, people need to benefit from your project because you are supported with the US government's funding to run your project. But once you're done with YSEALI Seeds project, that's when you can think about sustainable financial models to help your operations, like Karen mentioned in the beginning, like Jim mentioned as well, and I'm sure too also has some planning for that, when you can either charge for some consultancy fees so you can cover the operational costs, so you could still offer that very wonderful projects and product that you produce with your project to the public as well. And this is totally fine, and you can talk about it in your YSEALI Seeds application proposal. We want to see that your project is hopefully not a one-time thing. It's something that's keep on going and keep on living. So tell us how you plan to sustain yourself after you're done with this. And thank you everybody for sharing this great suggestions and ideas. And thanks to everybody for questions. We have quite a bit, so we'll try to go slightly faster if you guys don't mind. So you just like pick your question that you like. I know that you see them all as well. Tu, would you like to take the next one? The one you had.
Yeah, okay. So there's another question talking about the entity of our organization. So yeah, as I share with you guys, I am the co-founder of We Grow Edu. So it's like a startup, a social business, and it has existed before the YSEALI Seeds for the Future. And Viga is kind of a project that gets the funding from YSEALI Seeds. But actually, considering Viga is quite a long story for us, because we did apply for YSEALI Seeds last year. I mean, the year before 2020, but we didn't get selected then. And then we found some more ways to improve the program, and like talked with more students and did some kind of surveys to get more insights. So we came back with this project. So it's like it's not a project in our startup, but it's kind of a non-profit aspect in which we deliver programs for high school students. But we actually think we have thought about it for a long time. So that's to answer the question. I think there was another question like below that also share the same thing. It's like Wei Jingong asked, how did you reach out to your target beneficiaries? So there are actually many ways for you to find and talk with your beneficiaries. So we can conduct the conversations online or offline, like person to person. But I think that we should do it methodologically. Like we can, before we talk with the students, for example, in my case, we did have some kind of readings. We read the research, the studies on this issue, and we found a lot of interesting things about like gender equality in general and the situation in Vietnam specifically. And then that like oriented us to the a better chance, a better way to talk with the beneficiary and gain their insights. We also did have some kind of like pilot projects, pilot programs. We did have some classes in some secondary and high schools before the YSEALI Seeds program started, so that we could like have more of the opinions from the students, and we can design the program in a more practical way with the students.
Anybody else wants to add? Because there was another question as well. How did you choose your community, your beneficiaries, your target audience? Any more thoughts?
Yeah, I think for me, like for example, I choose a specific areas that become like my target, just to see the data as well. Like, I mean, oh, that's the area is the one that is very need in need for that, so that's why we choose that. But yeah, again, because of COVID, then we need to change. So now it's like 50% is like focusing on that, and then the other 50% we open for like people, like educators all over Indonesia. But again, because we are we are trying to make a reading program, then of course we want to try to train the trainers. So we choose educators as well, so they can, later on they can train more people. That's how we choose. So yeah. So Natalia, should I answer like the question?
Yeah, so grab the other one that you see, and I'll help you out if there are anything else to add here.
Yeah, it's about something. So it's this is another question is about how, because that only a small number of project will be selected, how what should we do during, after applying and then waiting for the result. So to answer this, maybe I'll ask a question first. So what is your, aim to apply to YSEALI? Is it again, because I think the project should not be like one time only, and then I think to start the project means that, this is what you are passionate about, and then this is what is needed around your areas or in your country. So I think with that in mind, I don't encourage you to just sit and then wait. Oh, if I get YSEALI Seeds, and then I will go and then do this project. If not, then okay, not anymore. So I think YSEALI is great. It's one of the way we can get funding to run our pilot project. But also we need to try, and then to maybe there are some other competition that give the same opportunity. And maybe also to answer another question about this, YSEALI also encourage us to not only collaborate with YSEALI, but also collaborate with more partnership, so we can make this program even bigger impact, and then it can reach more people. So I think it's not wrong to wait for this, but I think it's better to do something while you are waiting for the YSEALI announcement. And also to answer the other question about how to cover the overhead expenses, and also the question, can a brand become sponsor. I think to answer that, so to cover expenses that YSEALI said that it's not covered with it's not allowed to be covered with YSEALI budget, then we need to find some other organization, or even profit organization that can help us to cover that budget. But again, what we need to keep in mind is they need to know that during this period especially, we cannot charge people. So they cannot say, okay, I will give you this, but they need to buy our products. It cannot be something like that. So they need to know that if they sponsor us, it means that it's a sponsor. We will do it for social project. Yeah.
Beautiful. I would just add, Karen, yeah, you said wonderfully here. I encourage you to look for other sources of funding, not just YSEALI Seeds. And if you have an existing organization, like TU has, other teams too, you could add a cost share in your budget to show that your existing organization is actually paying for the office space for your operations or some kind of other overhead expenses. To us, it will mean that your organization is invested in the success of the project, not just in spirit, but also financially by picking up some of the costs that YSEALI Seeds grant cannot cover. So it's actually good to include that cost share and show that you are invested. Or if some things you cannot cover by YSEALI Seeds, like Karen said, apply for extra funding, look for partnerships, sponsorships, but it has to be also in a way that does not compromise the integrity of the project, and you don't, and you are not asked to go and sell something all of a sudden. So just, and again, once you're selected, you are not alone. You will always be able to talk to us. We will have mentorship. We will have, calls and, conversations. So you're not going to be wondering, what you can and cannot do. You can always ask. So that's a great, yeah. And definitely one last thing to add here, just like to mention, not everybody gets selected the first time they apply for YSEALI Seeds. So the best answer to what do you do between, you know, applying and being selected is keep on doing, keep on working, because even if you're not selected this year, you will be selected next year. And we have so many examples of very good projects who were not selected the first time, but did get selected second time because they improved something in their project or showed something more. And besides, I would just say that you might not be selected for a variety of reasons, and it's not because your project is bad necessarily or something is wrong. In some countries, it's a very high competition when there's so many applications submitted and we can only select 1 or 2 or 3. So we really want you to keep on trying, don't give up, and just keep on improving your project, keep on applying and pushing your idea. And who knows, you did not get selected this year, next year you will. So this is all I'm gonna say. So you guys, back the microphone to you. I think Tu has the next question here.
Okay, so I have a question from Jade. Can the people from locals create a perfect project? I think it's perfect if you can have like the local people on your side, because you guys would know like best about the insights of your community, and it would be like more practical to design solutions. Yeah, maybe you may be afraid that only few people know about YSEALI, or only few people like are really engaged to do your cause or to follow your project. But then I think it's a question of like whether or not you are determined enough to like persuade them, to convince them to join the team. And besides, the purpose of YSEALI is to sharing and to spreading more about the values of true leadership, of like integrity and social impact. So it's very welcoming to have more people to know about YSEALI, not just like the people who are already YSEALI members. So yeah, it's also a very great thing if you can like connect with people in your local communities, and especially those who are new to the YSEALI programs. It will be very effective for them and for even you yourself as well to design the solutions that fit your community's problems.
Wonderful. I do see a question that I'll probably take, and it's about, you know, political activity. So you got to understand what is partisan political activity and what is civic engagement. So those two, I understand sometimes it's difficult to make a distinction. And I think in the previous webinar, I explained this a little more, but just for the sake of this question right now. So partisan political activity is when you are promoting an agenda of one political entity, party, or something over the other. But when you are trying to just educate people about their voting rights and support them in expressing their civic sort of rights and duties, that is not a political activity. That is more of a civic engagement. And civic engagement is one of the core themes of YSEALI. So we have 4, right? We have civic engagement, education, economic growth, and sustainable development. So if your proposal purely has the goal of helping people understand how important voting is, that's great. You're not supporting one political party or another. You're just supporting people in their right to express their civic duty. So I hope that makes sense. So if you have more questions and specifically about your project, please feel free to send us an email about your situation and we can talk a little more.
All right, so I think I would like to answer this. So I have 2 questions. So the first one is any advice from the past grantees on how to show that we are the best candidates for the YSEALI Seeds application? So for me, I think it depends on the context of each country. But for me, because of we have to submit, 1 is project proposal, 2 is the budget, and 3 is the CV, and 4 is the additional document, right? So basically, the project proposal is very limited. The words are very limited, and it's so hard to to showcase that you are the perfect candidates. But in there, I think the project timeline makes a lot of sense, where project timelines and project partners, like so for example, project timeline, you might need to convince that you actually started these ideas or this project like before before you wrote the project proposal. In my case, I actually had this idea since I was in uni for 4 or 5 months, and then we actually do some brainstorming during that time, and to show that you're actually very passionate and in doing this project, and well prepared for this. And project timeline, you can do like a month to month, or until the end of your project. And when is that your main activities? When is your preparation? When is your what is it? Your uh, what is it? So to see what is the outcome of your project, right? And another good thing is that you can add additional documents. In this case, I show I put all my supervisors and also mentors that 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 have the skill beyond my background, to showcase that we actually have a good support, because you might realize that we are all youth from ASEAN, but then some, in this case, you need very specific expertise in order to run the project. And you might add some like partners or advisors that and address that in your additional documents. Beyond that, you can add some of the content of what you're going to teach them. So for example, in my case, I teach high school students, so I add like technology content that I've been doing in the past, and add that in the additional document as well. The third thing is that maybe you want to modify your CV for a bit. In this case, you want to add the background that related to your project and that you have done in your CV. Just make it short and concise. So that's one of my suggestion. And the next question is that, can we complete the project periodically and not daily, but still within the stipulated period? Yes. This is up to you. So basically, it's better to address like in the monthly basis that I told you guys, and maybe you can break 1 month into like early November or late November, like half or something like that. Or if you have the main event in the specific months, you can add the date inside your timeline as well. If you're very confident that you're gonna do in doing those dates. So yeah, like I told you guys, just be prepared that, okay, you might, if you prepared this project for before you wrote the project proposal, just add that in there so that you can convince them that you actually be well prepared. And maybe this is the last one I want to address. I have a project which is in form of edtech, and so basically this question from Abno Risky asked that if we can use the fund in order to have their own office, for example, renting a place to live. In this case, we cannot. So you can have an additional, funders or prospect funders that add up in this case, but in terms of YSEALI Seeds, you cannot purchase or cannot get something that is sustainably, like for example, renting an office or something that is very expensive, long-term use or something like that. So yeah, I think this is, I hope this addressed the question.
Great, thank you, Jim. We still have quite a few questions and just a couple of minutes left. If you guys don't mind staying behind just for a couple more minutes to address, this would be fine. But for whoever needs to drop off the call, feel free to do so. Can I just, before we go into the rest of the question, there is one that came in later that I want you guys to address before we wrap up. So, and the question is, can you share big challenges during project implementation and how you overcame it? So whoever wants to take it, or maybe a couple of you could speak on that.
Yeah, in my project, so one of the most foreseeable challenges is that we have to follow and support the students even after they finish their training, and like when they come to the incubation stage. So it's like when they would think create and like implement their own project. So it's quite hard to see if they really like they really can deliver their project well, or like what happens if they don't like implement their project. So we need to really have to follow them and listen to their problems on a very regular basis. So it's like a lot of calls, and there are some kind of problems happening around, like their schools did not allow them to organize event at school. So we need to like we have to like write a letter of reference so that they could be allowed to use the school as a place to organize events, for example. So there are a lot of pop-up things like after they finish their training. So yeah, I think that that's one of the major challenges in our projects. Another thing is that, yeah, due to the COVID-19 situation, we have to transform our mode of teaching. So it's not just offline anymore. It's like online and offline together. It's like blended learning, and yeah, it's hard for them to schedule their plans to like follow all the trainings necessary to implement their projects. So once again, we have to do the calendar setting so that they can yeah, they can continue with us, and they can like attend the classes in general. So yeah, these are some of the problems that we encountered while delivering vegan.
Okay, I think for Phonic ASIC, the biggest challenge is to move the on-site training into online, because we know it won't, I know this is not ideal. It won't be like as good as, on-site training, but then we cannot do like, I mean, we cannot just blame, the pandemic. So we just think like the best way to still do at least, like as good as, like the on-site training. So that's why we move it to online, that where like we can meet, and then we can still like things touch or use the same materials. So yeah, I think of course, even if it's not pandemic, we will all face challenges. So that's the very important thing that to mention as well, that how we face that, so yeah, I think this is a good experience as well, to being flexible and to face the challenges.
Yep. For Xiangmian project, it's quite similar. But in our case, during the pandemic, it's so we at first we would like to implement our project during the school summertime. So during in June and July, but at that time we expected that there's still a quarantine, there's still like a lockdown. So we make two plans, and the first plan is that we postpone the main events, and we modify it that we would like to make it during the weekends. So we postpone it until now in November, October. But during the time that we wait, we actually implement the online session where we deliver the same benefits to the audience. It may not be focuses on only 100 students that we aim for, but it could be better than that. The audience in Facebook or in Instagram is more than 100 students. So basically, you can deliver a similar outcome, but it could be better. So I managed to manage the team to come up with multiple video clips of having a technology program that teach kids how to do programming, how to make stuff on my Facebook page. And at the same time, we still maintain our initial plan that we would like to have the face-to-face event and postponing. And luckily that in Laos context, the pandemic is getting quite stable, and that's why we currently we are underway of running the face-to-face events. And I think I would recommend the same thing for you, for all of your all the teams. Yeah.
Thank you. This is wonderful. Thank you for all the questions. I do see that we still have quite a bit of questions. We might not be able to get through all of them. So feel free to send us an email. And if there is a specific question, I will send it to either Jim, or Karen for them to provide their answers. And I believe my colleague Jill just provided an email address in the chat as well. So I don't want to keep everybody for too long. Maybe I'll address a couple of questions that have a similar theme. And then if all of you, Jim too, and Karen, pick one question that each of you wants to answer and we'll wrap it up. So, but I will go with these few. So somebody was asking, can winners of YSEALI Seeds for the future can apply again for the seats for the future? Well, unfortunately, if you've been one of the 3 key team members, either project leader, secretary, or treasurer in the past YSEALI Seeds winning project, you will no longer be able to be in that leadership position again, although you can be in supporting role, you can be an additional team member, you can be a consultant, you can help. Support will never say no. But somebody's also asking, can they take participation in other exchange programs? Yes, YSEALI Seeds does not prevent you from applying for other YSEALI programs, Fulbright scholarship, or anything else, YSEALI fellowship program, so you definitely are welcome to do so. And somebody's also I get this question, can somebody share a proposal so we can take a look? Unfortunately, the answer is no. And the reason is because it's not going to be helpful to you. There are multiple reasons why this specific proposal was selected in that specific year over, another proposal. So it's not quite accurate or helpful for you to just take a look at the winning proposal and think that that's the key to the success, because it's not just the proposal itself. There is a lot going on with the team. That's why we ask you to submit your resumes and CVs of your team. There is a lot going on with what are the priorities that the U.S. Embassy has for that specific location, and what were the other proposals submitted in that year. So lots going on. Again, don't worry about other people's proposals. Worry about yours. And I would say the only thing that is in your control is your proposal. So work on that and put as much love, care, passion in it as you can. Again, great that you're joining this webinars. That also helps you stay informed and get better. And then just keep on trying. And that's the best thing that you can probably do for your application overall. Okay, last question for each person. So I don't know, Karen, would you like to kick us off and kind of start this final question?
Yeah, I think I'll answer maybe share about the non-financial support or mentorship given by YSEALI Seeds. So there are some question, about, budgeting. You can see the example is like now, right now. So like Natalia said, oh, if you have question, just email to us. No, you are not who are listening, you are not selected yet, but they already open for you to email questions. And of course that also happened to us. For the selected program project, we can, if we are not sure about something, and then we can just, email Natalia, oh, we need to talk about this, or we are not sure. Like, for example, we changed from on-site to online. Can we spend our money for this, or is it better if we do collaboration with this, or just anything, they are very helpful. So they're not, after you get the money, just do your project, just report to us, not like that. So they are very helpful in mentoring, and also encouraging as well, and then helping us also to I want to mention also the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia, in Jakarta. We have we get a very helpful support from them. They will help us to promote our events. They will help us to connect with more people, YSEALI alumni. So just just send your proposal. Don't be worry, because once you are selected, they will really help you to implement your project. So yeah, good luck.
Okay, so I think I would go next with a question on like tips to have a very good project abstract and project description. I think I don't have tips, but I think there could be some advice for you guys. First of all, you should really focus on your story, just as all the panelists have discussed. You are the ones who know your story best, so find some ways to dig deeper into your insights, into your experience. I think that the project description, for example, is like a personal statement in which you can like think about the background, the problems that is currently happening in your country, and then think about your insights. What did you get? What did you observe from this situation? And then come to the solution, like something that you yourself came up with very originally. And yeah, and then go next with all the milestones and the like measurements, so that you can like realize your project in front of the judges, the ones who are like screening your project description. When it comes to the project abstract, I think you should be very plain and simple. There are only 100 words, so you should focus on the what, the why, the how, and the who. I think, yeah, those are some of the key components of your project. We can start with the why first, so that would create a sense of focus on your mission and your cause. So it's very important that you like list them all and you be very brief on that. And when it comes to the additional documents, I think that we should really feature some like personal things about your organization or about your project. So we put there some of the like words, the referencing from other target, like from other school leaders or other partners who used to work with us. So yeah, the compliments or the like remarks from them would make your capability more trusted and credible. So it's like a reference letter from someone who knows you and who wants to introduce you to the project. And also you should include there your like previous things that you have done, so that they can see how you are able to deliver this project. And yeah, last but not least, the like all the detailed information about your project, like the schedule, what you're going to deliver in a very clear and like timely a way. I think there should be a schedule that's very that should be clearly presented, so that they can know that this is well planned and this is like feasible when it comes to the practical situation. So yeah, those are some of the advice I wanted to give you.
And the final words of wisdom from Jim.
Okay. Thanks, Natalia. I would like to address this question, which is, did you find any similar grantees idea year to year? Maybe you just make your market more specific. Yes, this is happened even before the project started or even during the project. But the good thing about that is that if you would like to make sure if you don't have any ideas specifically, the website from Cultural Vistas is very have so many detailed information about each project that happened in the past. It may be in your country or maybe in the other country. And there's a specific social media or contact information that you want to reach out. Maybe you find out that, for example, I'm doing technology events or technology project. I want to reach out with to this similar project and ask them, how do you do that? How do you run this, run that? And it's you can prepare yourself by connecting to the other similar grantees that have very similar ideas. Even the same during the pandemic, like there's so many similar ideas, but in different contexts that happens during this year. So I also reached out to the teams from Malaysia, teams from Indonesia, and see what are the cases there, and would like in the if they have the similar challenges, and we like to face and we like to address that problems. So we can apply the same thing. We can help each other by doing that as well. I think beyond that is, it's okay to have to have very similar ideas, but you have to show that your idea is actually address certain problems that you find in your case? You know, if it's actually the solution that is actually can address the problems, then that would be fine. And you show that your project is actually unique, or in the sense of your team members, or in the sense of your partners who are involved in your project, who are your supervisors and mentors. And I think that this is quite you know, there's so many ways you can learn from that. Yeah. I hope everyone have you know, a good project. I would like to see a lot of like good ideas this year, but please reach out if you want to ask more. Yeah, thank you. Good luck, everyone.
That's excellent. An excellent way to wrap up and finish. Just a word of encouragement for those of you who are applying. You will always have access to the previous YSEALI Seeds grantees who are always kind and always, you know, able to join other initiatives and consult and support. So you're not alone. It's basically our message is that you are supported in your project implementation, and there are plenty of people who are interested in seeing your project success of your project overall. But again, just want to remind that today we had Jim from Laos, project leader of YSEALI project. We had two from Vietnam, project leader of Team Viga, and then we had Karen from Indonesia, project leader of Team Phonica 6. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope all of the 75 people who decided to stick around will later thank you for your patience and your attention and for all of the great questions that came in. We know that some questions we were not able to address, so please send us an email, and if you have a specific question to one of our guests today, I will make sure to forward your email to them as well so they can provide more wisdom for you. Again, this was the third webinar for YSEALI Seeds. Please tune in next week for our final webinar, same time. Look for all of the information on YSEALiSeeds.org, and we hope to see you again. Thank you, everybody. Bye.